Hey there, everyone. It's Jason Lucchese alongside with my good friend Matthew Griffith and board member of INRIA. So, this is going to take place obviously for our INRIA meeting. We knew that everyone was going to be busy and we didn't want to just have a room of maybe like 3 or 4 people. So, we thought this would probably be best for accommodating everybody and just putting this webinar out there for you guys to check out and really grab some great information. Matt and I are going to be covering some probate stuff here. We've got about 30-40 minutes of just full content information, so you'll have plenty of time to check out who won the election. Well, you may have already found out who won the election beforehand, but that's not what we're going to talk about on this particular webinar, because Matt and I could probably go hours on that. So, Matt, anything you want to say, buddy?
No, let's do it.
All right, cool. So as you guys saw when you registered for this webinar, you saw that we were going to be talking about probates. So right off the bat, since we've got Mr. Attorney on the phone, you can see all of his diplomas right behind him. Matt, can you show everybody your diplomas?
We got more.
He's got more. He's got more. Oh, whoa!
It's a longer wall.
I don't have any.
I don't. There's some on that wall over there too.
Nice. So Matt, why don't we do this? Why don't we hop in and just explain what is a probate?
So probate is the traditional process by which the courts handle someone's estate after they've passed away. Pretty common. Somebody has a will, but it could also apply when someone doesn't have a will.
Right.
And in Indiana, if you have more than $50,000 of assets in your estate at the time of your death, and you didn't plan for your death in other ways, in other words, to distribute your wealth outside of a will or outside of intestate, you have to go to probate. And think about it: $50,000 is not a lot of money. You can accumulate $50,000 of wealth pretty fast. So a lot of people get stuck in probate, and probate's got a bad reputation because it costs money. You got to hire lawyers, you got to file documents with the court, and then the court oversees the process of divvying up your assets upon your death. And everything's done through court order or court permission. Usually you have to hire a lawyer, and you usually appoint someone called a personal representative. You might know them as executor or executrix, and then that person administers the estate. And that's often probably the person, Jason, you're talking to when you're trying to buy property, right?
Yeah.
Buy property out of an estate.
Yep.
And so I guess maybe you should talk a little bit about what it means to buy real estate out of an estate through the probate process. What is that all about? And why would you do that? Why would you want to buy property from probate?
Well, I first got started with buying and selling probate deals when I first got started. I thought it was an avenue for me to, find people that want to sell their properties, just because I came from, when my grandparents died, it was my mom, my aunt, and my uncle were going through the process of, they didn't know how to sell the property besides just listing it with an agent. So I was like, there's got to be a better way for this. And I stepped in looking at it from the investor angle and was like, well, let me, see if there's something I could do here by talking to either, the executor of the estate or, some of the other heirs that are associated with the probate. And I just started reaching out to folks, kind of sharing, I know what you're going through. And that does kind of help. Even if you don't have, that experience of having gone through it yourself, you could kind of, put your shoes in their situation. It's not a good experience. You've got mom and dad's house, possibly, and you have to worry about taxes if you're not living by the property, it was a 45-minute drive for my mom to take a look at the property, and it was an older property. It needed a lot of work. Most of the time, that's what mom and dad have. They have a house that's completely outdated and needs a lot of work. You can't sell it at retail. So I started getting in it from that perspective as, how am I going to help these people and try and get a deal out of it as well. And it ended up turning out to be really good. I would contact the executors. And believe it or not, I would say out of every 10, three or four of them would be out of state. So they would just want to get rid of the property as quickly as possible. They don't want to worry about taxes. They don't want to have to worry about the Midwest when it comes to, having pipes bursting during wintertime. So it just makes, so much sense to go after them, especially if you know what you're doing and know what to say, because it is a sensitive situation. Wouldn't you agree, Matt?
Well, yeah, and you raise a good point. I'm an attorney in Indiana. I cover the state of Indiana for a large online legal service, and I probably talk to 15 to 20 people a week about estate planning and probate, and that's over the course of a year, that's a lot of people I'm talking to about
Yeah.
probate, estate planning, and you'll be amazed at how many people have elderly folks who live in another state. This is a common scenario, and this is an opportunity for real estate investors. Now, here's the scenario, very common. Mom dies, or usually dad dies first. Dad dies. Mom is pretty up there in age. She has two kids. She has a son that lives down the street or across town who is not very good with the finances.
Right.
And mom does not trust son when mom passes away to take care of the estate. So mom does not name the son as the executor in the will. Mom names the daughter. Guess where the daughter lives? Illinois, or Missouri, or Kansas, or wherever, right? She lives 2 or 3 states away. And so now this poor woman has to get on a plane. She has to fly to Indiana when mom dies to administer this estate, and she's got to sell this house. Oh, and mom also had a rental property, or she had a second home someplace.
Yeah, that
so
happens
now
a
the
lot.
daughter's got 2 houses, right? She's got 2 houses she's got to sell. She doesn't want to deal with the broker. She doesn't want to have anything to do with showings. She just wants to get rid of the properties, and that's where the opportunity, I think, is that it's a motivated buyer, and anytime you got a motivated buyer, you have an opportunity to get a deal.
Yeah.
So could you talk to our listeners a little bit about just kind of going through that process as an investor? How do you go about finding these properties? How do you go about identifying an opportunity through the probate process?
Sure. So there's a really couple, well, actually 3 good solid approaches that you can take. First of all, you could talk to somebody like Matt, but Matt, you don't really focus so much on the probate stuff, do you?
I do some probate, but there are lawyers that's almost all they do is
Right.
probate, and those are probably the guys you're talking about.
I am. Those are the people that you can talk to. Say, hey, I'm looking to, buy and acquire properties in and around Marion and Hamilton County. If your radius is larger than that, then obviously you can discuss that with them. But you can go and talk to them, and you could kind of explain what you do, how you can help out the executors, the heirs of the estate, and just kind of go from there. That's one source. Okay, so you do have to talk to people on the phone, or maybe go in and meet with them in person if they want to meet with you. Second one is you could go down to the county recorder's office. That's what I first started doing, is when I had to go downtown to Marion County to the big building down there, and I would have to go up. Maybe I think it was the seventh floor. Seventh floor. Go there. Just, and this is when I was first starting out, folks. So I was handwriting everything at the time. I didn't even think about, like, just snapping a photo with my phone. That wasn't what I was doing back then. But I was handwriting everything. I was getting all of the information for the executor of the estate. So you could do that. You could contact now Marion and Hamilton County, see if they have any online things that you can do. I know there's a system called Docs Pop. Are you familiar with that, Matt?
There's actually, all the courts are now going online. The courts are going online, and that includes the probate courts. So
right.
all these documents are going to be online. Not necessarily all the documents, but the cases, so you can identify probate cases. And I know we want to talk during this about, like, kind of pre-probate issues, about identifying opportunities before they actually get filed with the probate court.
Yeah.
And there's also some other things like living trust. There are lots of ways to buy properties once someone's passed away. But nonetheless, all of the courts are going online, and it's been a really painful process. But eventually, all 92 counties are going to be online, so you're going to be able to access a ton of information sitting, at home from your home computer.
Yeah,
It's
no, that's
amazing.
great. Yeah, because right now you have to physically go to these places or have somebody from your team go and get this information, and it is worth it in the long run. Or there is a place where I use for a lot of my direct mailings. They're probably the best in the country when it comes to getting the most accurate data, and that is yellowletterscomplete.com. You could go there. I know the owner really well. His name's Zach Brownell. He operates out of Wisconsin. They do all of the letters, everything for you. They have our templates and everything that we've given to them on, the sensitive type of message you want to send to somebody that just lost a loved one. So that's you could use those three avenues down there, and trust me, get in with individuals like Matt that focus a lot of their law business on probate. Because if you get in with two or three of them, that's going to be all you need right there, because they're going to be sending lots of referrals your way, and it's going to help out quite a bit with you getting probates without you having to go to the county recorder's office or having to send out some sort of a direct mail piece.
So, it's helpful to remember whether you're buying REO or you're buying however you buy. If you can demonstrate to sellers, prospective sellers, that you can close fast, and that you're easy to work with, you're much more likely to get repeat business out of that person.
Oh yeah.
So years ago, I used to buy REO, and the REO brokers would call me first because they knew I had cash, I was easy to work with, I knew what I was doing, I could close, and it wasn't right. It was an easy transaction for them, so they could turn deals faster by working with me. They also knew what I wanted.
Yeah.
Right? They had a good idea. I wanted 3 and 4 bedroom, at least a bath and a half, usually 2 baths. They knew those criteria where you could develop the same kind of rapport with an attorney who does probate work, and you'd say, "Hey, look, if you get any 4 bedroom, 2 bath, 2.5 bath houses, call me.
Right.
I'm in the market for those." Right?
Yep.
So, are you sending letters directly to the personal representative, the executor?
Yeah.
Or are you sending letters to the probate attorneys? Or are you sending letters to both of them?
Now,
How do you do?
when I first started out, I would only send it to the executor of the estate. But then I was starting to send it out to all of the individuals on there, not including the attorney. So there would be the executor, and then there'd be some
Heirs?
heirs as well. And I would send it out to all of them, because maybe Jane didn't get the letter, but Bobby, her brother, did, and then they all call each other and say, "Hey, we got this letter from this investor. He's looking at mom and dad's house. Let's talk to him and see what we can do." And then they would maybe talk to their attorney about it. And then, as I started doing more and more with these, I started reaching out to the attorney that was involved in this, and tried talking to them to see if Bobby and Jane were interested in selling mom and dad's house. And 9 times out of 10, they are always wanting to sell the house.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So let's take a step back in the chronology. So, have you identified some opportunities to buy properties before it actually gets to the probate process? Are you doing any of that?
Yeah, it's funny. We had somebody that came to a INRIA meeting. I think um, it had to have been like 5, 6 months ago. I think it was our May one, and there was a gentleman there that he works with like assisted living facilities, and he also
Uh,
works with some of these folks that are no longer living in the house. It's vacant, but they're still alive. And to me,
right.
that's the best opportunity. They get peace of mind before they pass, and they get to sell off the property, and then they could. A lot of these people, when they're at that stage where they know they probably don't have much longer to live, they like having that satisfaction of being able to sell the property, not putting any burden on any of the loved ones that they have, especially the executor. And then they just get the property sold, and they could, if they want to give out some of the inheritance early, they can. But I'm telling you what, we talk to these individuals at the assisted living facilities, and we're finding out most of the time they're living at the assisted living facility and nobody's taking care of the properties. They're vacant, and I remember going through a few of them already, and a lot of these folks are just hoarders. There's stuff piled up everywhere throughout the house. Like, I remember that I had to go through like a little trail through the house, and I was warned. I'm like, because I came to the house wearing sandals, and he was like, "Dude, do you have shoes?" And I'm like, "I do." So I went in my trunk and I put on my shoes, and thankfully I did put on the shoes because there was like cat fecal matter everywhere, and it was just it was not good. But those houses to me are gold. She didn't really want too much for it, and and luckily we were able to get it bought at a decent price. That was back in May, but you could find some really great properties from these folks before they, actually have to go into probate after they pass and stuff.
So you just made me think of another potential strategy. There's something called the spin down rules. So if someone is receiving um, uh, federal assistance,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they're in a nursing home, and essentially the government is paying the bill. There are all these rules about they're called spin down rules, and essentially it says you got to be poor to get that kind of relief from the government, and there are a bunch of exceptions. And one of the exceptions is income producing properties. So if you make connections as an investor with an attorney who specializes in the Medicare, Medicaid rules,
Mm-hmm.
right? You might be able to identify these properties where folks are trying to hold on to them because if they get rid of them, they lose the value of them, right? Because the government gets the money.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, you have to spend your money first before the government will pay for your nursing home care,
Right, right,
right? But if you have a property, you don't have to sell a property if it's held in a certain way.
right.
The rules are very complicated and they change all the time. So if you could find a lawyer who specializes in this type of work, you might be able to cut a deal where you manage the property for them, or you take an option, like a lease option. So you're both the tenant and then turn around and landlord the property out. When the person dies, you have an option to buy it from the estate, and then you turn around and flip the deal.
No, that's pretty smart. That's really good. And what do you think
That's why I
about?
call attorneys everywhere.
Yes. So what would you say to alternatives with probate? Are there any?
The main one. Okay, so there are essentially three things people do with their real estate. They get rid of it through a will. I just thought of a fourth one. They get rid of it through a will. They have no will and they die intestate. So the
Yeah.
government gets to choose who gets their money. Okay. They have what's called a living trust, or there's a new thing called transfer on death deed. It's actually not so new, but people are just now starting to use it. I've been using it for a couple of years, and I'm using it more and more. So the big ones are, let's talk about the trust.
Yeah.
A trust is essentially a contractual relationship where you transfer title of a house over into a trust, and it's held there, and that allows you to avoid probate. So upon your death, your trustee or your successor trustee has the ability to sell the property. Oftentimes, when someone dies, even though they've held property in a trust, the family still goes to a probate lawyer because nobody knows exactly what to do. Even though it's in a trust and they're not going to go to probate, having a relationship with an estate planning lawyer or a probate lawyer
Yeah.
will still get you those leads.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, right? And then obviously, if you hear that somebody dies, it's going to be transferred one of those ways. Let me go over them again. It's going to be transferred by a deed. You can leave a property to someone upon your death in a deed. So, for example, husbands and wives, obviously, if one of them dies and they own the property together, it automatically transfers to the survivor.
Okay.
You can have a transfer on death deed.
Uh huh.
That's becoming more and more popular. Okay, and then you can do it by trust or by probate. So having the relationships with those estate planning lawyers, the probate lawyers, even if it's not technically a probate property, you're still going to get a lot of leads, because when someone dies, the family they go to a lawyer. They usually go to a lawyer who knows probate and estate planning, and they figure out what to do with it. If you're sitting there already in place, you have a relationship with that lawyer, and the right property comes along, and you're in good communication with that lawyer, and you have to maintain relationships with those
Yeah,
guys and
yeah.
gals, right? So you can't just send one postcard or one letter or make one phone call and you think that's it. You got to stay in contact with them. You have to be top of mind. So you got to send them communication quarterly. Send them a little update. Here's a real simple technique. If you do 5 cases in a year, send a list of those properties
Yeah,
to
that's
all
huge.
the probate lawyers, right? With a little summary and say, Bill Smith died and he left this house at 123 Elm Street. The family didn't know what to do with it. It was in bad shape. The water heater had rusted out. The furnace wasn't working, et cetera, et cetera. I bought the property from the family, rehabbed it, and sold it. The family got the money. We did this in 32 days, right? And if you have all these little examples, just like brokers send you little postcards in the mail or letters saying, "Hey, I sold a house down the street from you.
Hmm.
Here's what I did for your neighbors,"
Right.
right? Okay, it's a little example of the quality of service you can provide. Well, real estate investors can do the exact same thing. They can send those kinds of materials to probate lawyers and estate planning lawyers. And then that lawyer, it gives you a reason to reach out and say hi.
Yeah.
And it demonstrates you know what you're doing and you can close deals. Well, guess what? You're going to be top of mind if you do those things.
I think that's great. That could also go into the stuff that I do with LinkedIn. You could you could have a point of contact with sending out the mailers. And again, I'm huge on doing like a good solid drip campaign. I think 4 pieces need to be sent. If you're not getting in contact with somebody, they're not responding to you. Typically, especially somebody like me, in order to get a response from me, if somebody's sending something to me, I want to see that they're really wanting my business. And if they stop after one, more than likely I'm not going to even call them. The other thing too is you could get in contact with these folks on LinkedIn. They could see your professional profile. You could gain access to their phone number, their personal email address, and you could start sending them text messages or emails, whatever it may be, and you could just start getting in contact with them. So great stuff there, Matt. I highly agree with you. Networking is huge. You got to constantly be doing it, and keep growing your network. They say your network equals your net worth. So if all you know is your brother and sister and your mom and dad, then your network is pretty small. So keep
So
go. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
yeah, I wanted to remind people that it doesn't matter whether you own. Uh, it doesn't matter how property is owned. The title holder can transfer the property. So there's no magic in that, right? Um, I think there are probably fewer real estate investors looking for probate deals, which is
There is.
crazy
Yeah.
because as our population ages, that's a huge market. It's a big market, and a lot of the baby boomers have more than one house. They have multiple houses.
Yeah.
So there's a mass of inventory out there, and if you get into this field and you start actually working this field, there's a lot of fruit to pick. But you got to know what you're doing. You got to do it well. I think you got to do it professionally, because you are going to be dealing with a lot of lawyers. You are going to be dealing with higher wealth folks. You are going to come across some really nice houses. You'll come across some not so nice cat lady houses as well, but you're going to come across a lot, right? You're going to have the cat lady houses, but you're also going to have some nice houses,
Yeah, that's true.
right? And you'll also, check this out, you also can buy properties. You can find a probate case in Indiana that has properties in Florida or Arizona or New York, and you can still do those deals.
Yep.
You could find an investor in New York, and you could flip the deal to that investor, even though the whole thing is done in Indiana. Why is it done in Indiana? Because the person died here, or they have a trust here, or right? So their heirs are here. So you're going to be working with people here. And the opposite is also true. You could have somebody who dies in Florida, but they have property here in Indiana, and a probate lawyer gets a call because the family in Florida doesn't know what to do with the property in Indiana. I've had that scenario where someone in Florida still owned a farm here. They still owned a farm. So the family had moved a whole generation earlier to Florida, but they still had this farm, and they didn't know what to do with that. They had all this ground, right?
That happens a lot. It happens a lot, and finding buyers for out-of-state properties is much easier than you think, guys. The 21st century technology has really kind of boomed, wouldn't you say, over the past 4 or 5 years? Like, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, like it was really just kind of starting to for people to kind of get involved with it in like 2008, but like I've seen like the past 4 years, it's been nuts. And you could go on to any group on Facebook and you could find somebody that's interested in a property in New York or, like Matt was saying, Florida or Arizona, wherever. So there's definitely several opportunities there, and we're always here to help you guys if you need help with that. But other than that, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is what if you come across a property that's in a living trust, Matt?
Well, all you need to do is work with the trustee.
Right.
So if a property's in a living trust and you can work with the trustee has essentially the same powers, actually in a way more powers than an executor or a personal representative in a probate case. They don't have to get this set of instructions and authorization from a judge. They're already empowered by the trust to do whatever they need to do with the property. So they can go sell the property. And like I said, a lot of people are using the transfer on death deed. So mom and dad own a house, and dad dies, and mom says, "Oh man, right? I don't want to do a full-blown trust, but I also want to avoid probate." So she could do a transfer on death deed, leaving the house to her son, and then upon mom's death, the house automatically transfers over to son, and son says, "I don't want this property. Mom was a cat lady. Look at this place. It's a mess," right? She's a hoarder. And he just wants to get rid of it. So it's not technically, I guess maybe we should call this properties available when someone dies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they're transferred in all kinds of different ways, but the triggering event that makes them available for real estate investors is someone has passed away, or someone is about to pass away, or someone's in nursing home. They're receiving some type of long-term care.
Right.
And now we got a house that nobody's going to be living in, and it really needs to be cleaned up, rehabbed, or not, and sold. And you might just get the opportunity, lock up the deal, and then flip the deal. Right?
That's
you may
true.
never even close on it. You may just get the deal, assign it to someone, or sell the deal to someone, or partner with someone. There's all kinds of things you could do. But getting the deal, finding the deal, and getting the deal, I guess, is step one.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things is when you guys find out if it is a property that has a trustee, their information is public record. So you could reach out to them the same way that you would an executor. So it's not like, you can't find out who the real owner of record is. You could find it out by talking to the trustee. So, right, wouldn't you agree with that, Matt? Just contact the trustee.
Yeah, if you find out who the trustee is, you almost always can find them, because today everybody either has a LinkedIn page or a Facebook page.
Right.
Right. You're going to find those people. I mean, you can search by geography, or for not a lot of money, you can hire a skip tracer to find someone's identity.
Yeah.
The tax bills are going to go somewhere. I mean, you're going to have the deceased person's name. They're usually related to the trustee. There are usually relationships there. It's not hard to find somebody. It really isn't. So
No.
If you know that someone's passed away, there's probably an opportunity. Somebody needs to look at that property and see if there's a chance to get it and make a deal out of it.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I'll give you guys a couple skip tracing services we use. TLO, it's a little bit more expensive service. It's $1 per search, but it's 95% accurate. All of the information that you receive from TLO, it's been by far the most accurate. And then we have Spokeo, which is spokeo.com. And that one's about 74 to 76% accurate. So you're getting what you pay for. But again, you could get so much information off of those skip tracing services. So I just thought I'd give those people a little plug. We're not getting paid for those, but those are services that I use within my business, and I recommend it to my students as well.
Hey, Jason, before we go celebrate President Gary Johnson's election, because I'm pretty sure he's going to win. But I want to talk about one other thing, and that is who your buyer is, right?
Yeah,
So that's pretty. Wouldn't that be crazy if he won?
it would. It would be really crazy. It'd be kind of cool.
I don't know. Anyway, okay. So who's your buyer? So I always recommend that real estate investors use a limited liability company. That thought's gonna be in my head until tomorrow afternoon. It's gonna take at least 24 hours to get that out of my head. Okay, so as a real estate investor, you should be using some form of limited liability entity, right? So a corporation or an LLC usually. Almost always it's an LLC. LLC is the most flexible. It's the easiest to set up. It's the hardest to screw up.
Right.
So I hardly form corporations anymore. 98% of my clients I throw in a LLC, and then we can convert it for tax purposes to a corporation, an S or a C if we need to, but usually we don't. But think about this. You could buy these properties in a self-directed IRA. You don't have to buy them in your name, and you don't have to buy them in the name of your LLC. You actually could use a self-directed IRA to buy these properties. Now, it usually takes an extra day or two, or I use Horizon, right, for my self-directed IRA transactions, and I think for an extra $50, they'll expedite anything and do it the same day. They're out west, so I gain another 2 hours. So I could buy I could sign a purchase agreement with a trustee or an executor in a probate case, right? And I could contact my custodian of my self-directed IRA that afternoon and process the order, and they could wire the money the next day. I could literally sign a purchase agreement on Wednesday or Tuesday, and on Wednesday, my self-directed IRA, if everything went right, could own the property. Now, realistically, you're going to do a title search and so forth, and close in a more traditional way. So, say it takes a week. Well, big deal. It takes a week. Also, in that week, I could find another buyer, or I could find another investor that can bring his or her self-directed IRA money into it with me, and we rehab the property. So we cut the deal on Tuesday, and your partner who's using his or her self-directed IRA money, and maybe we even get a third person in there who brings cash, and we do the deal together. So you have a huge amount of flexibility. You just need to know what tools are available to you to pull out the tool bag to make the deal happen.
Yeah. I think that's absolutely great. And for those of you that don't have a lot of cash within your self-directed IRAs, one of the cool things that Horizon can do is, like, let's just say you open up an account at the bare minimum, like $500, and you find one of these probate properties, and you put down like a $500 deposit from Horizon Trust, from your self-directed IRA account. You could put that $500 down as your deposit, and if you are planning on doing maybe like a same-day close, like an A to B, B to C transaction, say for instance you have it under contract for 25, you sell it for 50. There's a let's just say $15,000 profit spread. Well, when you go to close, that $500 that you use from Horizon Trust goes back into your self-directed IRA, but that $15,000 that you just made, that also goes back to your self-directed IRA, and that's tax-free. So it's just a great way, like if you want to start building up your wealth management, or start building up for the long term. I typically recommend to students, like, do at least like 1 out of every 3 or 1 out of every 4 using your self-directed IRA, because it'll help build up your long-term wealth. And then you could start buying properties that you could keep in there that are cash flowing, and you've got some great properties that are coming. And this could, Matt and I could go on a long tangent about building up for a long-term wealth and all that kind of stuff. But I just thought, since he brought that up, for some of you that don't have that, definitely set something up with Horizon. We just had Greg there, September?
Yes.
So Greg's a good guy. Matt's been working with him. I've been working with him. So if you need that contact info, just let us know. We'll be more than happy to get you that information. But Matt, was there any other information that you wanted to share on this particular training?
Well, I think people need to be aware of all the opportunities. I'm a big proponent in education and learning as much as you can about real estate the right way. We call it the blocking and tackling, right, of real estate investing. And don't, I discourage people from thinking that the only way to make money in real estate is one way. Oh, I have to note buy. Oh, well, I have to landlord, or I got to do this, or I got to do that. I think if you educate yourself about all the different ways to invest in real estate and you go to reliable sources of information, you and I both know that there's some really bad information out there about
Yeah,
real estate investing. So if you go to knowledgeable people with degrees, people who know what they're doing, right, who have actually done it. You've done a lot of real estate deals. I've done a lot of real estate deals. And we come to it from an academic, studious perspective, right? And we have good quality information. That's where you need to learn this stuff. And you can mix and match probate and non-probate and self-directed IRAs and loans and simultaneous. You can do all kinds of creative things, but you got to know the tools, right? You got to know the tools. So I would
absolutely.
encourage people, to study more on this subject, read from only reliable sources, come to the INRIA meetings, and if people have any questions and follow up, we can answer questions, and I'll write some articles about this as well, so people can learn more about buying properties through trust and probate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been talking to so many people here. Matt knows somewhat of my business model, and I do a lot of strategy session calls with individuals across the country, and so many people are getting ripped off by attending like a Armando Montalongo or a Flipping Vegas or a Flip This House seminar. It's like guys, we really want to point you in a direction of not going to those just because they're such a waste of money. If you guys would like to do something that's serious and you really want to get your business going in the right direction, Matt's come and spoke at a lot of my investor boardrooms. The next one is actually coming up December 2nd through the 4th. So if you guys would be interested in attending that, I'll be more than happy to do something. Matt and I have talked about this before. Where I'll give in RIA folks, and I normally don't do this, but I could give folks, a one-time discount for getting involved. So if you want to learn more about that, just shoot me an email at jason@globalfortunesolutions.com, and I'll be more than happy to set up a time to talk with you one-on-one. But yeah, if you're interested, it's coming up. We're going to have it right downtown. I limit it to just 12 people, and I do that for a reason, and we could talk about that on the phone. But I think we're running out of time here. I know
We'll
both
have our
Matt.
meeting next month.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Meeting next month. Obviously, it's going to be December. I can't believe it's already end of the year. But we're going to have our end of the year wrap up to where we're going to discuss all the things that we discussed in 2016, and then we're going to be talking about some of the goals that we have for INRIA in 2017. And it's gonna be a great meeting. We're gonna have some giveaways. We're gonna have some prizes that we're gonna be giving away. I think Matt last year gave away. Well, we all kind of chipped in. We gave what did we do? We gave away some gift
iPad.
cards, an iPad. So yeah, definitely come on out. It's good times. So if you win the iPad, you could give it away as a Christmas gift or keep it for yourself. But we'll have some fun activities. We'll have some cookies for everybody. We'll have some punch.
Good
Um,
enough to.
More than likely, Sally will spike the punch, but but either way, we'll have a good time. We'll discuss everything, and we're really me, Matt, Steve, and Todd. We're going to be planning out a really solid 2017 for you guys. We're going to be investing in a really nice microphone setup, so not everybody in the back won't be able to hear us anymore. So we're going to have that problem solved. And anything else, Matt? Anything exciting?
Come out in December, second Tuesday of December, and and we'll have the wrap-up meeting and start planning for 2017. It'll be an awesome meeting. It's always a good time. Everybody's in good spirits. We'll be giving some prizes away, like Jason said. And it's a good meeting, and it's kind of nice to pull it all together, refresh, and like, oh yeah, we did talk about all this other stuff during the year. So it'll be good. It'll be a good meeting.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And this particular webinar, we'll have some emails go out for you to check it out as a replay. So definitely, if you have any questions, let us know. But if you're interested in the investor boardroom, just shoot me an email, jason@globalfortunesolutions.com. But other than that, Matt and I will see you next month at our December in RIA meeting. All right, talk to you later, guys. Have a good one. Bye.